Yes.
What does roughing mean?
Ruffing is another word for trumping, and that's to say... Okay. If I didn't explain it, here's your first dollar. Good. No? Well, okay. How about if not taking some... Would you like a snack? Then I've got some different snacks here. I have chocolates. Ruffing is another word for trumping. It says, when I no longer can follow to the suit. You can't put a trump on it when you have a card in the suit that was led. So in this case, when a heart was played and you run out of hearts, now you can't play to the heart suit anymore. So you say, well, what will I play? Well, you could pitch a loser, if you thought this would be a loser, but you would lose the trick. So instead he played a trump. He roughed it. Some people even say, I'm tapping it, I'm going to hit it. But bridge players, we try to be a little bit more couth than that. But some people you hear say, hit it, partner, to the dummy, meaning like put a trump on it.
So what it is basically, if you don't have any trump, if you don't have like a heart in spades or trump, you play a spade and take it.
Yeah, if spades or trump, you can beat, let's say that I have a bunch of clubs, ace, king, queen, jack, 10, and some more. And I play my ace of clubs and you play a 8 of clubs. You have one. I play the king of clubs and you don't have any more clubs. And let's say that hearts are trump. You could put a heart on my king of hearts and my king would not win the trick because you have hearts as the trump suit.
But that's called roughing.
That's called roughing. Trumping or roughing is what it's called, yes. But as I say, with the elections going on, some people may not want to call it trumping. They may want to call it roughing. But roughing it is a very common term that's used. Okay. So anyway, this wasn't really part of the lesson, but I hope it maybe gives you a sense on how people that are advanced, how they play. We saw how the rotation of the cards are played. We saw a little bit about how the bidding was done. We saw the line of play that was done. And so I hope that gives you just a little feel. And Peter, do you have a question?
Roughing versus trumping.
Same thing. It's the same thing. Just different words.
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
It isn't that trumping, you get the trump card, you play it, and usually win it if you're ahead of everybody. Whereas roughing would be you're not being able to play in the suit, but you don't trump, you play something non-trump.
Well, not quite. No, that's a good question. And so trumping or roughing are synonymous. Playing trump means everybody plays a trump suit. But when you say I'm roughing or trumping, that means I no longer have the suit that's being played. And it's not always the declarer. The person has a lot. Maybe the opponents do that. Maybe I have the ace-king and my partner's got a singleton. They play a singleton, means one in the held in the suit. Let's say they have a club, a singleton, only one club, and they play it to my ace. And then I play the king, and that holds. And my partner doesn't play a club anymore. Well, partner, you got any clubs? You're allowed to ask that question. No clubs, partner, thank you. Oh, okay. The opponents must have clubs. Then you play a third one. You have the ace, the king, and let's say a 7. And you play the third one as a 7. And they both put clubs on it, but your partner has no clubs. They rough it. They trump it. Either word you want to use. Did that answer your question? Okay, good question. All right.
Are you allowed to talk to your partner, right?
Just that one thing.
There's very few things that you can say, yes. You can also say like your lead partner or your play partner, things like that, but you have very few words that you're allowed to talk about in the auction.
Any question? There's something to start.
Yeah, and when you have the opening lead, sometimes it's like, oh, I got kind of sleepy. I'm not sure whose contract it is, and you can, to ask, I'm on lead, what is the final contract? The final contract is 3 no trump by the south. It's 6 spades by the south in this case. Well, if it's in the south, then I'm over in the west. It must be my lead. I lead towards my right-hand opponent. And that's a question you can ask, is that to ask basically you're on lead. And by another way of saying is that partner, do you have any questions before I make my lead? It's better, though, to make sure, even though your partner may agree with you, they may be sleepy too, ask the opponents. Otherwise, it may be an infraction of bridge. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's take a look at a quick example here. This is about bidding. We'll say that the opponents remain silent during this auction. And we're on slide number 5, by the way. And they like their heart suit. They got some pretty good cards here. We'll talk about how to evaluate them very soon. And they open 1 heart. Their north passes over in east. Their partner says, well, I've got 3 hearts. And I think I've barely got enough points. I'll go 2 hearts. They bid 2 hearts. South passes, goes back to the hand over here in the west. And they say 4 hearts. Now, why didn't they say 3 hearts or 5 hearts? Well, once you get to 4 hearts, as we'll find out, is when you can get a bonus in the major. So 4 hearts is enough. So we'll look later about why they bid 4 hearts. But how many losers do you think this hand will have? Will they have any heart losers?
So is that listed clubs, diamonds, hearts?
That is, thank you. Yes, starts from the top, and let's see if I have something that's an illustration. Here's a game that was played a couple of days ago, and I just didn't have enough room on that piece of paper. But if you look there, you'll see how it shows the spade symbol, and then the heart symbol, then the diamond symbol, and then the club symbol. Are we okay with that? Okay. Okay, so there we go. So there's the symbols. SHDC. Spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. There's 13 per suit. The highest is what? Ace. Good, yeah. Some hands, games, the ace is low, but ace is high in this. And the cheapest is the 2. There's 4 players, north, east, south, west. Partners sit opposite each other, north and south, east and west. Sometimes we talk about the person to your left as your left-hand opponent. The person to the right is your RHO, the right-hand opponent. The person that sits across from you, if they're a good partner, they're called a partner. If they're not, you call them a center-hand opponent. No, they're your partner. They're never an opponent. But remember that this is a partnership game, so don't be a mastermind. Don't think, I don't care what my partner has, I'm just spitting. If you do, you should probably be playing tennis or golf, right? You shouldn't be playing a partnership game. So you want to listen as we'll talk about how to bid with you. So it starts off, cut for deal, shuffle, do the deal, bid, play. Everything goes clockwise and through the bidding phase as well as the play. And we end up with a final contract. 4 hearts we saw on the other one. 6 spades on the first one. Maybe everybody passes out. Nobody wants to make a bid. That's possible. So after we do have a legitimate contract, maybe it's as low as 1 club or 1 diamond, everybody else passes. Then we go to the play phase and we try to make our contract just like when you go to an auction. You make bids 4, I bid 6, 7. And I don't know what happened today. Did you're being into accounting? What did the Fed do? Or is it today or tomorrow? Is this when they come out with Yeltsin? Must be tomorrow then. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess it is Thursday. That's right. So, and similarly, that will affect the stock market tomorrow, depending on how the Fed does, whether they raise the interest rates or not. And after the play, we see if you made your contract. If you did, it might be a part score. We didn't talk about what a part score means yet, but something less than bidding game or slam. So those are the phases, and we'll get into that more. But remember, it's a cooperative. We must communicate with our partner. We do it through the bidding. And we have to decide what the master suit is, and that is called the trump suit. And we might be where it's in a no trump contract. Maybe we don't always play. We have a balanced hand. We don't have a long suit. Remember that first hand, there were 6 spades in one, and there was 3 in another. 9 out of 13. It's a pretty good suit. Okay, now when we get to the level, we always have to take away 6 from our bid, or add 6 to another way to say it. So if I say I open 1 diamond, that says I think, partner, you and I can take 7 between us. We don't start off and say 7. They say starting off at 1 means 6 plus 1. And when we had that 6 spade contract, that would be 6 plus 1. Let's see. If it's 6 plus 7, that would say, if we went to 7 spade, that would say you'd take all 13. But 6 plus 6 would be 12 of the 13. So as my father would say, that's a book. 6 is a book. Okay. Once again, these are whist terms. We kept it in bridge. And then we have the rank of the suit. Remember, clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. So if Peter opened 1 spade, Shelley, you would not be able to say 1 heart, even though you had 5 hearts, because you have to go to something higher than the spade suit. And there's nothing higher than the spade suit except no trump. You could say 1 no trump if you thought that was a good bid. But if you wanted to bid hearts, you would have to go at the 2 or the 3 level. And we'll look more at that later. And then if the next person wanted to go diamonds, they couldn't go 2 diamonds because they have to bid something higher. They would have to go 3 diamonds and so on, up to 7 no trump. Or it could be like this one, 6 spades doubled.
What the hell is that?
It means Dwight Eisenhower, I don't think you'll make it. Now, if you happen to be one of his generals on staff, you may be reassigned, right? You may not like that if you say, I'm going to penalize you, Dwight. You bid too high. You know, remember when the partner said, oh, I'm going to bid 5 diamonds because I have 1 ace? Let's say they goofed up and they weren't thinking right and they thought it meant 0 aces. And then somebody else has got 2 aces. They might say, I think you'll not make your contract, but I want to penalize you extra. In the 1930s, Harold Vanderbilt was on a cruise ship and he came up with the notion of saying, I think that rather than just having the contract have some people bid wildly against us, we ought to put some teeth in it. We ought to have the notion of having a vulnerability. It's worth more, or you lose more if you're vulnerable than non-vulnerable. And if you double, you're going to pay extra for that. So that was where it made the game more competitive for the risk-reward relationship. And that's when they went from auction bridge to contract bridge. Okay, anyway, enough of that. Good history. So we bid clockwise from the dealer. Dealer starts, and the person who first names a suit or no trump, no matter how high you go, the person who first names that suit, they're the ones that is declared. So if it goes 1 heart, 1 spade, 2 diamonds, 3 diamonds, 5 diamonds, whoever named the diamond suit first would be the one, be the declarer. So it didn't matter we said a heart and a spade. It's when I said 2 diamonds, and then we ended up playing in a diamond contract, then I would be the declarer, because I was the first one that named the suit that we ultimately played in. Okay, we'll see these. But
the dealer starts the bidding?
the dealer starts, isn't that weird? You would think that it would be, yeah, it is, but you would think it would be the person to the left of the dealer, which it seems like that's more proper, but I don't know. That's
But
just...
when you start to play, the person to the left plays first.
Yeah, they play first when somebody's the declarer. They have to play first, but the person who actually is the declarer, yeah, that's the way that works.
The dealer bids first.
The dealer
But
bids
the
first.
person to the left plays.
Play, beautifully said. Yes, got it. Okay, and it could be that if the auction is passed out. Now, the auction, if all 4 people pass, everybody should have a chance to bid, right? If all 4 people pass, it's all done with. But once the auction has started and we're bidding, then it only requires 3 passes because everybody would have had a chance. So 4 passes, you're playing social bridge, they ask, oh, shuffle them up again. If it's duplicate bridge, no. Because one table, you might say, I don't think my hand's that great. The next table will say, good enough for me, I'll play it. And if they get, let's say, 50 or 60 points and you get 0 points because nobody bid, well, in this table over here, they did much better than you.
So wait a minute. So if everybody passes,
That's 0 points. Nobody gets any points.
then they play, and how do you play?
Yeah, well, so we all pass out, then it's not played. There's no trump. No, nothing. They're just returned. Yes. There are some top pros. They'll be playing in a tournament, a very high-level tournament, maybe international tournament, and they surprisingly have 2 passes in a row. Everybody has about the same points. Nobody has really a good hand. They pass twice. Very rare. They better do it very slowly, or the other table might say, oh, why aren't they bidding? So they might take some time, even though they've passed out. It's not like, oh, we want some cards, you know. So it makes some inferences when you put the cards back in there very quickly. People look for this. Yes.
Okay, so if everybody passes, does the same person deal again?
Some people say yes, other people say the deal goes to the left. You've lost the honor of dealing again. It really only happens in contract bridge, and there is a law book for contract if you really get into this thing. And that's one of the things that they normally say is house rules. So if we're playing at your house and you say, at my house, we will deal again. And at somebody else's house, they say, no, the deal passes to the left, clockwise. It varies. All right, so once again, we saw this 1 heart, 2 hearts, 4 hearts, all pass. And it looks to me like you're not going to lose any hearts. You have 8 hearts. The opponents have 5. You have the top 3. So unless they're 4-1 against you, remember they have 5. Unless they're 4-1, most of the time they're 3-2, you'll get the the jack the third time around. So you're going to make all the hearts. Looks like you could lose a diamond here. You're going to lose a club. And how about the spade suit? Are you going to lose a spade suit or not? This top one is the spades. Depends where the king is, doesn't it? If the king is down here, you can finesse it. If you play a low to the jack, right? You may not lose it. But if they play the king, then you're certainly going to take the ace and win the next 2. But if they hold it, well, it depends who's got the 10, doesn't it? It doesn't look like we have the 10. So it can vary, can't it, sometimes, when you try the finesse strategy. Okay, just a little bit there. Situational awareness. There are 40 points in the deck. We'll talk about that, or the pack as it's sometimes called. And we have different shapes of the hand. Spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs, or else longest suit to the next longest suit. You'll remember this later, Peter. You'll say, oh, that hand I had, it had 5 hearts. It had 3 diamonds. What else did it have? Do you remember? Had a couple of clubs. So it had a 5-3-3-2 shape. Okay, that's a pretty common one also. But we'll look at the shape. You remember your hand what the shape was? You had 6 spades, didn't you? Yeah. So we will get to look at those. 6-3-2-2 was the shape. Once you start getting used to these patterns, it'll just come like that. Now it's like, oh my gosh, got to remember that. Have you ever heard about people memorizing pi?
People what?
Memorizing pi. 3.1415928836, blah, 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 blah. You know, they do it by, it's almost like they're telling a song. They're doing it by, and we have clumping that our brain does. You know, chess players, they can memorize all these patterns. Same with the distribution of your cards. This will come to you pretty quick, and it makes it so much easier when you can do that. Similarly, the distribution of the suit in all 4 hands. I don't know if you remember that heart suit, but you had 5 hearts. You had that ace, king, jack 5 times in your hand. And then the person behind you had queen 10 4 times. And then the other 2 hands had 2. So it was a 5-4-2-2 is the way the 13 cards. So you can take a look at the 13 cards in your hand, or you can take a look at one suit across the 4 player, because it's always 13. So in time, you will get to know about this. Right now, it's just appreciation. Okay, so over on this hand, chances to win the tricks. How many spade tricks are you going to win here? 3. And how many club tricks are you going to win? 1, it looks like. How many diamond tricks? Maybe 1. If we play it first, we probably won't win anything. But if they play it first, then we can win 1 trick. We'll see later. And in hearts, how many are we going to win? 1, yes. Now, if they, for some reason, want to start playing the ace, as my mother would say, aces only gather 2s and 3s and 4s, Michael. So you don't start with an ace unless you got the king with it, or else, thank you, thank you.
You don't start with the ace with what?
when it's unprotected, where you don't have the king with it, or sometimes call it a guarded suit, where you have a sequence, the ace and the king.
This raises a general question about the whole thing. One of the things I thought is, hey, the name of the game is to win the thing. Play your strongest right away. Keep playing the strongest.
Yeah, in fact, Peter, I like it when my opponents do that. They make me look smart. I'll even send a limo to go pick you up. Because if you play the ace and the king, then my jack and the queen are good. Thank you very much. No, you don't. Aces are meant to take kings. So you want to be that snake in the grass with the ace, and when you see the king come, then you play the ace on that. You want to capture at least a queen.
Yeah, but sometimes if you sit there and wait to play the ace,
it goes, yeah, you have to be a little careful with it. Yeah, you don't want to wait too long to take the ace. So it's kind of, it depends. But you don't normally lead an ace if you don't have a king to go with it. Unless you're playing with your future mother-in-law. That'll be good. You make her look smart. Okay, anyway, we'll get into all these things. That's just a little tip. So, okay, the aces, you have 4 and 4 chance of getting a trick with an ace unless your opponents are out of the suit, right? So that's worth 4 points. A king, you have 3 and 4 chances, approximately, maybe more, but it's worth 3 points. The queen is worth 2 points, and the jack, I don't know if it's worth a point or not. If I partner bid the suit, I count it for a full point. But if I have jack and 2 others, it's not likely I'm going to take a trick with that.
You're saying this is how you evaluate in the bidding?
Precisely.
Okay.
This is so. What happened was that in 1915, which makes it about 100 years ago, a gentleman by the name of McCormick, he came up with this 4-3-2-1. Now it's 4 suits, and there's 10 points per suit. 4 and 3 is 7, 2 is 9, and 1 is 10. So there's 40 high card points in the deck of cards. And this is something very important in our hand evaluation. So if you've got 10 of the 40, that's nothing to write home about. Everybody, on average, will have 10. You don't want to start the bidding if you've just got 10. Normally, we want about 12 or 13. And so if you've got 20 points, wow, I've got half the points in the deck. And we'll take a look a little bit about how that equates to game. But Milton Work was the one who eventually, he didn't like that idea at first to count points that way. And then after 15 years, he came along. And he had this guy, Charles Gorin, that worked for him. You ever heard of that name? Gorin Bridge in the 1950s. He was like the leading player in bridge. Written a lot of, his bridge books have sold over 13 million. And so anyway, he adopted that finally. And so these are what we call high card points. Okay, we get some additional points, so if we have a long suit. Now let's say we have a suit with ace, king, queen, and jack. 4, 3, 2, and 1. That's 10 points. But what if you have all 13 cards in one suit? Doesn't it make sense you'll get 13 tricks if that's your trump suit? So you must get more than 10 points if you can make all the tricks. So we'll take a look at that. And essentially, for every one that you have that's longer than 4, you count yourself a distribution point. And on that very first hand, you had 6 spades, did you not? Yeah, and so that was worth more than just the high card points. It would be worth something for your 6-card suit. So you would take your high card points. Let's say it's ace, king, jack 6 times. That's ace is 4, king is 3 is 7, the jack is 8. But then you have 2 more than 4, so give yourself an extra 2. So the longer the suit, the more you add adder points. We'll get into that as we see some hands. Okay, so how many points do you see in the spade suit here? High card points. 9. How many do we have more than 4? Okay, that's 9 and 3 is 12. I counted as 12 points. And then over here, how many more? Another 3. 12 and 3 is 15. Is this a 5-card suit? No, it's only 4. So it looks like this would be worth 15 points the way I would value this hand. I also like the fact these are all primary honors, aces and kings, and then this queen connected to it. how many spades do you think you'll lose? Unless somebody has jack 4 times against you, you won't lose any, will you? I doubt somebody has jack 4 against you 4 times. I doubt it. Okay, how about this hand? How many points do we have in this hand? 6. 4 and 2 more is 6. All right. Okay, ace and queens are quick tricks. Queens and jacks, some people call them quackers because it takes a long time, those slow tricks. And bridge is a tricky game because...
What does that mean, slow tricks?
Slow tricks means when you have queens and jacks, you got to wait till somebody plays the ace and king. You don't get to get those tricks right away. It takes a while for those to be developed, if at all. And you'll see that. I'll have some examples coming up pretty soon. So we like it when we have working honors. See how they work together? And we have length in the same suit. That's the ideal situation.
Can I ask you a question? What was on the previous one there, previous slide, 4 and 4, 3 and 4? What does that mean? 4 and 4?
Means 4 out of 4 chances. That's just my shorthand way of giving you a feel.
Oh.
It's not guaranteed. You know, it could be like Peter said. Maybe you play the ace and all of a sudden somebody, your joker trumps it. They have none in that suit. You're not guaranteed, but it's pretty much guaranteed if you have the ace. It's pretty much 4 and 4 chances that you're going to get a trick. So we count that for 4.